Today's highlight was a visit to the city of Lamego.
And we're on the walkway. There's our Viking hemming boat ship going up to the buses, which are just parked right here. Here's our first look of the sanctuary. We're going to tour that first and then check out the staircase that takes us down to the central square. So we're on top of the hill here, overlooking the town of Lamego. This was once a shrine, then it became so popular with the pilgrims to see the statue of Our Lady, the breastfeeding Madonna, that they built a whole shrine around it, or sanctuary.
There's two chestnut trees. You can see the one on the right here in this picture. And there's a sign there that says, now that you've done the pilgrimage, rest under these leaves. So our guide didn't know exactly how old they are, but looking at the size of the bases, you can see they've been here for quite a long time. The fountain here was erected in 1738, and the pilgrims come here and they sample the waters because they believe it has some healing properties.
So pilgrims would come here because they believed the statue and this place had the ability to cure yourself. So they would come here and pray and ask for favors such as healing. And that was the main thing. And then you would offer a sacrifice as well as a gift. The gift could be money, but often there was a habit of bringing wax pieces or figures of the body part you wanted healed. And apparently they do every body part is presented here in wax. And the sacrifice was really to climb up the 686 steps, I believe, on your knees. So sacrifice by climbing up on your knees to the shrine, and then a gift for the request that you prayed for, the healing that you wanted. And again, the fountain with the healing waters.
So before going into the church or the sanctuary, we wanted to check out the staircase a little bit right from the top. And this is probably the most famous and picturesque thing that we actually visited on this whole entire trip. It's actually very, very spectacular, something like 686 steps with lots of statues and fountains at every level. On this first level, we learned there's actually 18 different statues representing 18 different kings of Portugal. There's also a large obelisk in the center of it, and under the obelisk, there's a statue of 4 different men who are supporting it, which is really cool. Anyways, we'll take a look at that in a little bit, right after we visit the sanctuary here. So this is the Baroque-style church, which is part of the 18th century Sanctuary de Nossa, Senhora dos Remedios, which translates into Our Lady of Remedies. The architecture, as in most Baroque-style churches, is really ornate and very interesting to take a look at, both on the inside and on the outside. So a little bit more of the history of this sanctuary. In the 15th century, Bishop Miguel was offered a statue of a breastfeeding Madonna from the Pope. He placed this on a hill in a small sanctuary. So Lamego's on the Compostela de Santiago, and pilgrims, once learning of the statue, started to stop here to see the statue and ask for favors from the lady whom they believe had special powers. Due to its increasing popularity, the shrine was eventually replaced by a large sanctuary and a staircase from the city. It took 200 years to build and was completed in the 18th century. The original statue is stored here now. She's called Our Lady of Remedies because it is believed breast milk will cure anything. At least that is what the guide said, although she may have been making a joke. No miracles have ever been recorded here. However, pilgrims continue to come and ask for favors, such as cures to their ailments. In payment for cures, pilgrims often return with a wax gift of the body part which was cured. These are placed in a basket near the altar. During our visit, we saw the basket with a wax head and heart. The pilgrims also will climb the 686 steps of the staircase on their knees as a sacrifice to receive or give thanks for the blessing. And I believe this is the statue of the breastfeeding Madonna from the 15th century.
Back of the church, they have the nice organ. Stained glass window as well. As I said earlier, they do wax body parts to basically as the offering. So this person here had something to do with a head, and the other one looks like a heart. So those are offerings that somebody had made and had brought here because they made prayers for their health. And then their offering is a replica of their body part. So in this particular chapel, they have another statue of the Virgin. But I don't believe this is the real one because it's too large. But again, it's the breastfeeding Madonna.
Apparently, throughout the city of Lamego, there's multiple copies of the breastfeeding Madonna, but the real one is stored in the church up front. At least that's my understanding. So we're going to leave the church now, and we're going to go walk down the staircase all the way to the city center. Again, there's 686 steps. They're all on different landings. I believe every landing has a water fountain, and they have these beautiful azulejos on the walls as well as on these staircases here with all the rails. Quite intricate, quite ornate. And but I think this first particular landing is probably going to be the highlight because it has all these fantastic statues of 18 different kings surrounding it. And it also has this obelisk in the front as well, which is supported by the statue of 4 different men. And for those of you on the Viking tour, if you have some mobility issues, don't worry about it because Viking offered that you could actually use the bus and go back down to the city center that way, so you didn't have to take all these steps that we're about to do.
So apparently there are multiple staircases like this, and then multiple landings or squares all the way down. And on each landing, there's these beautiful azulejos, like we see right here. So the statues represent the kings of Portugal. So the sanctuary, the first main square with all the kings, the obelisk, being held up by the four pillars, I believe, of nature. Beautiful fountain as well. And we can see all the way down to the city square. Ponds and statues at each one in the city square as well. And that's the city of Lamego. To go down the next set of stairs to the next landing. So much lichen on these balusters here. So this was built in the 18th century. And again, each staircase has its own azulejos. And like the first one, this one also has a water fountain. And they've got seashells here, which is one of the signs for the Compostela de Santiago, showing you the way. So we'll go down the next landing and see what the next platform has to show us. And it's all limestone here. Actually, it wouldn't be that difficult to climb up because every, 3 staircase runs, there's a platform, place to rest. And it's all in this beautiful big park as well. It's nice and shaded here, right? It's cool today. So this level is actually just very quiet and tranquil. No statues or fountains. But beautiful azulejos. So less and less ornate as you get away from the top and the sanctuary, but still very nice. A very easy walk down. You can see some bench seating in the pavilions. A great place just to hang out. Looks like they have a little bit of a bar restaurant over there, but it's early, so it's not open. And it looks like that we've probably gone perhaps a little less than halfway from the sanctuary. So beside the staircase, there's a number of different ponds in the park. Obviously man-made here, all these rocks piled up. There's no water movement here, a little swampy, but they do have little waterfalls. This looks a little fresher on this side. And they have like a small altar on the inside in the statue. And the fountain inside. It looks like they're holding down a dragon here. Or maybe the fountain is a dragon. Hard to tell. But the basin here is a shell. So we continue down our walk. I'm looking back up to the sanctuary at all these azulejos, stairs, and little platforms that we've already passed. This is where we came from, all the way up there, and you're seeing the obelisk in front of the first platform and the sanctuary behind it. You can see people actually going up the final set of stairs to the sanctuary there. And all the different levels, and every level is represented by an azulejo. So we're getting closer to the city, and across the city we can actually see the tower, which is a bit of a hike, which we have elected not to do, because I was told there's not much in the castle there. Even though it's a historical significance, we're just going to take a look at the town itself and take a look at what the architecture is like there. Getting close to the bottom, in these last two levels here, they've had some water fountains again, so there was like 2 or 3 levels in the middle with no water fountains and not much ornamentation other than the azulejos. So this is the first one we've come to where there actually hasn't been an azulejos, but we've got this big beautiful fountain here.
Have a good time.
Almost at the bottom. You're come from way up there. And actually easy walk down. We're coming to the main square with all its water fountains and statues. And you can see the Castello de Lamego right there in the distance on the other hill in the city. So we got one more platform to go down and one final stairs.
So after about a 30-minute walk, because we did lots of stops to really take in the sights, we made it down to the main avenue here, or plaza, or at least the start of it. And we'll just take a quick look back up to the sanctuary and the 686 steps that we took to come on down. And I would say that it was actually quite easy to do. The steps aren't very steep. They're separated by all these little areas, so you can sit down and relax if you need to. So I would highly recommend that. It's nice and relaxing, and for us it was a very cool day, so it wasn't very strenuous whatsoever.
And my recommendation to you is you can definitely climb up. It's not that difficult. But it's nice to take a car or a taxi or your public transportation and get up to the top, see the sanctuary, and then walk it down. It's very enjoyable. So here we are walking in the middle of town in Lamego. We've got a huge public fountain here. And it looks like a historical church, although it says up here on this azulejos 1940, but it looks much older than that. So I don't know what it's all about. But we'll have a quick look at the chapel here. So this is the Capella de Espíritus Santos in the heart of Lamego. Limestone floors. Some beautiful tiles as well. Wow. While we're waiting for our bus, there's a large church here, and we'll take a look at it. Lots of shops in the square here as well for selling tourist items. And it looks like at the bottom of this hill here is actually a lot older section of the town.
So this is the Cathedral of Lamego, or the Lamego Cathedral, and we're going to have a quick look inside. But our tourist guide pointed out a little curious aspect about some of the carvings at the entranceway, and you have this very penitent woman right here.
Very nice painted ceilings. These ones are a little warm, but the ones on the upper roof are very nice. Chapels. go take a look at the cloister. Yeah, this is a beautiful cloister. Nice surround. Lots of beautiful roses. And then the church. Here we are in the center of town. We just finished walking the big mall all the way up from the sanctuary. You can see all the azulejo tiles there on the walkway, the staircase up to it. This is the church of Lamego here. And this is the statue of the Bishop Miguel, and he is the one that brought the breastfeeding Madonna statue from Rome here, that all the people doing the Compostela de Santiago come here to see, and people wanting well-wishers or hoping to improve their health make sacrifices to. So this is Bishop Miguel, or Miguel. We're in the central square of Lamego, and there's also the Museum of Lamego here, but we're not going into there today. But the highlight of the trip, of this section of the trip, was walking the staircase all the way up to the sanctuary. Get a closer look at Miguel here, the bishop. The statue is actually quite ornate. His robes are actually carved, or specimens, I guess I should say. These beautiful scenes here. Very nice. So after Lamego, we returned back to the ship, and the rest of the afternoon was just going to be some scenic sailing and a bit of entertainment in the lounge. And one of the first things we got to see while we were sailing down the Douro River is another Viking ship sailing the opposite direction. So this gives you a very good impression of what Viking boats are all about from the outside as we sail on by. And Viking always seems to have, I believe, 4 boats on this river sailing at any one time. So these are the rabelo boats that used to tour or haul the wine from vineyards down to Vila da Gaia. And now they're used as tour boats. Basically taking people out on wine cruises or just to see the Douro Valley. So here we are in the Viking Lounge, and they're ready to give us a little show on how to open vintage port bottles. There's a special technique, I understand, and this is the setup right now. This looks like some Graham port, and these are all the different offerings I think they're going to show us today, the 40, the 30, the 20, and the 10-year-old Connie port, which is what I like to drink. So let the show begin.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and to allow me to share a little bit of our Portuguese tradition. On the day you arrived on board, you was welcoming with one drink. You still remember which drink? White port and tonic, correct. So this is the port, the white port, what we use on board. It's a grams, and my advice for you, if you don't want it as a cocktail, just use it chilled. Don't drink it on a room temperature, just chilled. It will taste much better. Then basically we are divided in 2 kinds of port. We have our ruby port and we have our tawny port. I will show you a very easy trick So you can identify if you are having a ruby or a tawny without to taste. And how you can do it? It's very simple. You just pick up, for example, this one here in my hand. I have a ruby port. If I place the fingers on the bottom of the glass, and if you try to see your fingers, you will be not able to see them. You see? So you already know you are having a ruby port. If you make exactly the same process with a tawny,
You cannot see your fingers, but with a
you'll
ruby
be
port,
able to see your fingers.
you can see your fingers.
You see? So, and what is the main difference and why this different of colors? Basically, the ruby port, you've been in Navasada, most of you, correct? And on the end of the dinner, you have a fire water to drink. Go try it. So, it's this kind of fire water they use to produce this beautiful port. So they stop the fermentation, so they don't allow all the sugar be transformed, and they stop the fermentation of the wine with that fire water. The ruby port, basically you have big vat containers until 1,000 liters. So you stop the production, you are with the vats. After 3 years, you filtrate the wine, you bottle, and the ruby port is done. It's one of the most sold ones, and it's the most fast one to be ready. So the color, it's a little bit more darker, it's a ruby color. And if you realize it's a little bit more sweet, a little bit more fruity, and it's perfect for you have, for example, with dark chocolates and soft cheeses. The ruby port, for the other way, they use small barrels. And after the 3 years, they change for another oak barrels and keep aging for as many years as you wish. So imagine if you have 10, 20, 30 years inside of the barrel, the colors start to change, start to be a little bit lighter and a little bit more complex on the flavors. So you will have wood flavors, nut flavors, and because of that is the main difference. Today we are here to talk about this specific port, vintage. Why is so special for us Portuguese? First of all, it's not a wine what you open all the time. So imagine this, in my family, to explain the importance of this port in our family. In my family, my grandfather have a big tradition. When the girl, boy, grandchild born, he always buy 2 bottles. He keeps one with him, and he give to us another one, to the parents of the baby. So when we make our 18 years old, or when we have our graduation, or inclusive when we married, we open the bottle for the family. The other bottle, what my father had, my grandfather have in home, every single Christmas, he choose one of them. He decided to tell the most embarrassing story from that person, and he opened the bottle for the family, and we share. This vintage, why it's so special? First of all, it's a single year. You cannot mix another years on this. Then is the wine is not filtrated, so you still have the sediments inside. So it means it's the wine who keep aging on the bottle. It's the only wine who keep aging on the bottle because of the sediments. So the sediments basically are making the job of the barrels. When you are aging the wine, normally you keep the bottles on this position. And why we use this tradition is exactly because of that. Because after a few years, the sediments in contact with the cork, if we try to open with a regular cork, it will crumble apart automatically. Because of that, we use this. Now to show you how we make our original way here in traditional Portuguese way, I will call my wonderful bar chef Marvin. Marvin, do you mind to join me? And you will continue.
Hello, very good evening everyone. Thank you for coming to the lounge. So, as Paula saying, once the Portuguese people, they open the vintage port wine, so it means something special. So today what is special? Do you know? It's you. You are special. Alright, so as you can see, this is special tone, yeah, to open the port. So we already heat it up for a while, and I would already prepare the cold water as well. Yes, here. So what I'm gonna do, I will apply to the neck of the bottle, approximately a little bit down of the cork, yeah, and then I'm gonna pour cold water to make a thermal shock. Hopefully it will break nicely, hopefully, yeah, so we can enjoy the vintage port. Yeah, all right, ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
So he's right when he said hopefully. Because if you try to do this at home, you need to be sure when you place the tongue, you don't move it, the tongue to any place. Because if not, you will spread around the heat. On the moment you add the ice water, it will crack in different directions. So you will not have a perfect cut, okay? How you know if it's the right time to add the water? On the moment you cannot keep your finger there. So you keep your finger when it's the tongue. Careful with the tongue, because we already had a small accident, so please be careful with the tongue. But be sure when you cannot keep your finger there, it means it's the time to add the ice water. Is everything okay? When you are ready, we are ready. I just will ask a little bit of silence before we hear the crack.
I know, that's...
Douglas, do we have another bottle? I'm just kidding, he could make it perfectly. What he's doing in this moment, when you start to remove the cork, you need to be sure you will rinse for a few times with water, because what we did is we cracked the glass. So if we crack the glass, we need to be sure all the bits of glass there, extra, they are removed with the water. Are we ready?
It's coming.
You will help me to count to 3? 1, 2, 3. Very important on this vintage. As I told you before, the vintage bottle of port, they have sediments inside. So if you need to serve this, you need to decant always first. Because if you start to pouring to your friends, the sediments start to moving around and the taste is not pleasant. So always decant it. If you don't know how to do it, a very simple way to know if it's the right time to stop, is just place the candle from this side, and when you are pouring the port wine slowly, when the sediments start to show up, the color change. It starts to be a little bit brownish, so it's the time to stop. The sediments, you don't throw it away. As a traditional Portuguese, we always keep the sediments to use on the gravies. It's a very nice one, so don't throw. You remember? When you arrive on board, we have this bottle of port full. So this bottle is transformed inside of these beautiful glasses here. This is, we will share with all of you, this is a Graham's 10 years old Tony. We will share with all of you. So Anita, please. And we have Andy. But we would like to share this vintage bottle of port as well with you. So who would like to try the vintage, please just approach the table and we will share with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Enjoy!
Yeah. Grab one.
A Russian truffle.
That's the vintage.
Well, I've got a sample of the vintage port, and I'm going to give it a try here. Very good. It's a really dry. It's got a very different taste than what I've had before. A long, lingering taste.
Port, right?
Yeah. I don't know how old it is, but it's good.
Vintage port. I've got the 10-year-old Tawny. They're both from Graham. I'm just going to do a little bit of comparison. I say the 40-year-old or the vintage one is a lot darker compared to the 10-year-old Tawny. The 10-year-old smells a lot sweeter. It smells a little more woody. Very sweet. Very good. This one is maybe a little less sweet, but more woody or oaky flavor. Both are very, very good. I could drink either one of them, but they're a little bit different, so I guess it comes down to your palate. But good job, Viking, for letting us try it.
Put like until 40 years old.
So this is the vintage port that we're having, and it's 12 years old, and it ages also in the bottle. So a tawny port is basically produced, and then it's put into barrels, and at a minimum is 3 years, but typically is 10, 20, 30 years old before you drink it, whereas the ruby ports are generally aged for only 3 years, and they're done in a stainless steel container. So you get the flavors of the wood, and that makes the biggest difference. So what's the difference between a vintage port and a tawny port?
So the vintage port, we use only one grapes, single grapes, and single harvest, and it needs to be the best grapes. For the tawny,
and a vintage is not filtered and it's stored and aged in the bottle.
Yeah, unfiltered. They put in a bottle with the sediment inside, so it's continue aging in the bottle. Tawny, they put in a wooden barrel. Yeah. And then it's from 5 grapes: Tinta Barroca, Tinta Amarela, Tinta Chao, Touriga Nacional, and Touriga Franco.
And that makes the difference.
That makes the difference, yeah.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Right. So we started the cruise with this 10-year-old Graham Tawny Port, and this is what they served us this evening. So we drank the whole bottle, and this is 4.5 liter bottle of Graham's 10-year-old Tawny. All gone. All went to 103 guests on board. All good. So our second set of entertainment for the day, actually the evening, is right after dinner. We had a tuna band, which is a group of university students coming in their traditional uniforms, playing some fado music for us.
Academic tuna from IPAN, an Institute of Marketing and Administration. And we are tuna, please not to be confused with the fish. We are good boys. First, do you know what a tuna is? Do you?
It's a fish.
It's a fish, of course it's a fish. A tuna is a group of students that get together and play Portuguese traditional music. But anyway, you must be sick of hearing me talking. This first song we're gonna play for you, it's a beautiful original of ours that you're not gonna understand any of the lyrics. Get used to it. And it's a beautiful song about our hometown. That's our original song, Emmet Sings. It's But Sings. Thank you.
Maria que recolhe o estante, em belos sonhos procura a sua amante. Nesta cidade do pescador velhinho, nos restaurantes belas tascas e bom vinho. Em Matosinhos de São Sebastião, quando há norte pela proa, quantas ocas tem Lisboa e as muralhas que eram toda a razão do meu ser. Cartas grandes, extensas, iguais. Pai, o filho, o padre, o sacristão, então festa! Ai, ai, oh, é proibido fumar. viva e sempre leal. Tu és a terra mais linda.
Thank you so much for your energy. Thank you to the Compostela ship. Thank you all. Now, if you don't mind, me and my friends have to go to our favorite place in the universe. The bar!
Na mais só guarda-mal de som de